podcast. And today we have a special guest, Angelina Quamina. And we are so excited to have her. So I'm going to introduce her for a second before I pop her up on here. Angelina Quamina, MBE, is here and she's my kingdom sister. I love her dearly. And we are here because she's the founder of the Walking in Your Purpose and Living Life Your Way company. She is a life coach and she is a broadcaster and she has over 30 years of experience in government. And I think that's amazing. So we'll get into all that, all the little details. We'll get into all of that. But we will not wait any longer because I can see her to have her come on. And here she is. She's here. Hey.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. Well, we talk all the time, so it doesn't feel like
Hi, people.
Yes, I'm so excited that you are here with us today.
Well, it's an honor to be asked.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you we just love having wonderful, dynamic women on the podcast. And you came to mind because when we met, there's something about you that is just amazing. And I don't think you don't meet when you meet people like that, you genuinely stay in touch and keep them and you reach out and say, hey, keep that going. Even though we are an ocean apart, most people don't know. Angelina's in England.
I am in England. Yes, I am.
And for most of you guys who don't know, I actually just moved from England. And so that's why we know each other, because I lived in England.
Yeah.
And I'm now in the United States. But I miss my friends in England. I miss my family in England, because it was family. It was just like we're family. So it's been an amazing journey. So let's dive into it. So I wanted to get this out of the way because I said MBE and I had to know, I got to scoot over. Make sure I'm in the thing. I wouldn't do that because I share it, so I forget.
That is true, actually. Like that. Hold on.
I'm sharing the screen like, okay, which way should I go?
Like that.
Sorry. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I wanted to get that. I wanted to explain what does MBE mean, because you see at the end of your name, and I wanted to elaborate on it because I think it's amazing. When you told me what it was, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's awesome!"
Wow,
and an achievement that is.
Yeah. Wow. So an MBE. So first of all, I was shocked to receive it, and I'm very grateful for it. And it is something that I'm growing into using, we'll say that way. So an MBE, so what it is twice a year, the Queen and whoever is the monarch of the country is allowed to award individuals in the country who have been seen to be an example to others, who may have done things within the community and have, we'll say, excelled, but not necessarily financially, but it's much more people orientated and service orientated. So they just want to give back. Now, it's something that actually started, I did my research and I was like, wow, it's actually something that started in World War I. And they were actually doing it prior to that, but it was mainly the household members within Buckingham Palace that used to receive it. They started doing it in World War I to address people who were on the battlefield, who had done extraordinary things, and who were an example to others. And then later, they decided to make it more for the entire country. So someone submits a nomination package for you. And then it has to go through about 5 or 6 different levels and then eventually gets to the Prime Minister. So we like, right? And then the Prime Minister has a panel and then they have to discuss it. And then only at that stage do they submit it to Buckingham Palace. And then they have their courtiers who then make a determination out of all the people who were submitted, who would be an individual who would be awarded an honor. So mine is Member of the Order of the British Empire, which means you get to place it at the end of your name. And at times when, for example, if the Queen wasn't able to come to this area to do a presentation, the people in this area who are titled would be able to stand in her stead.
That's so cool. I just think it's such an honor. I think it's super awesome. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think it's amazing. And I think it's because I just love that it's service recognition. Like you said, it's not financial. It's about giving.
Not at all.
It's about giving back, doing something that impacts people.
100%.
I think that's amazing. I think that's the
and the beautiful thing about it is you don't know anything about it. So it normally takes 2 to 3 years to get through the process. Yeah, and they watch you. I mean, they watch you to see whether you would be considered. And I had no idea. And all I got was a letter that said, you have been nominated for this, and it is at the level of the Prime Minister. Would you accept it if you were to be awarded it? And then you say yes or no, and then you send it back. And then you don't hear anything until the morning that the list is announced. And then you're like, I'm on it, or I'm not on it. So you have no idea until the morning of. No one tells you anything. So when it gets released in the papers and to the news is when you find out.
That is amazing. And congratulations. I know it's been a while.
Thank you.
I think it's an honor. And I guess if you, for me, I'm really into British royalty. I like watching it. Side note, I lived in England. This is my second time living in England, so that's probably why I love all of the pomp and circumstance. And so I think for me, I guess I get the kingdomship in it, and I guess when I think about kingdomship, I think about the true how it looks like against the Bible. So I think that's why I'm fascinated.
Oh, 100%. And you know what was so interesting? When I got the award, the first words were, "In God we honor." And I was like, yep, I'm in. I'm in. Because what I loved about it was, even though it was coming from the Queen, she still knew that above her, there was a different level that is unmatched. So when I got there and it said, "In God we serve," I said, Queen, I'm there. What do you need?
Yes. So now that we talked about that, let's talk about how you use like what you do, because what you do is amazing. You do it on the military base. You're the first face that people see. So you take it that kind of aspect and you made your company, which is walking in your purpose, living your life your way.
Right.
So let's talk about the name, because I was like, that's a mouthful, girl. how did you get that name?
Do you know what? So I'm very lucky to have a lot of mentors in my life and a lot of different tribes who are kind of able to kind of see where you are and mold you. And what I didn't realize is the 30 years of service and getting to know the difference in people and how they react and the different generations and how you can speak to them. You realize that meeting all of those, and it's probably thousands and thousands and thousands of people now, that every single person is unique and every single person has a gifting. And when you're standing in front of that audience, you have one of two choices. You can look at them all like they're all exactly the same, and you can come up with a cookie cutter version of your speech to them. Or you can try, and I'm not going to say it's easy, but you can try to get to know each individual person and deal with them on their level and what their love language is and how they speak and how they listen. And I would on purpose not move on in topics until the whole room got it. And if that meant we had to sit in as 30 people go to lunch, then that's exactly what we did, because I never ever wanted to leave anyone behind. And I didn't realize at the time that I was kind of looking at the Bibles, teaching at the same time. But I had no clue that was what was coming out, and what was being kind of fed into my spirit was don't leave anyone behind. So when I looked at the title, I loved walking in your purpose, and I thought that's great. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, but it really isn't necessarily just about that, because each person does have to live their life their way. So how is it that, what is it that I could bring to the table that I could pull that out of them and walk alongside them, just like people did for me and are doing for me in order to get there?
Yeah, that's amazing to think about it in that way, because I think we forget that we're uniquely made as people, and
Right,
there's I feel like there's someone for everyone. So I
right.
want to get into let's discuss purpose. How do you find your
Okay.
purpose? Because
Oh,
we can talk about purpose, but I think
oh
our
my
listeners,
goodness.
if you had to sum it up, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be, how would you say you help someone find their purpose?
So the first thing I would do two things. I would find their gifting. And a lot of times we all know what our gifting is, but no one spoke it to us, spoke it into us.
Oh, that's good.
So when I was at school, they used to say to me a lot, they'd be like, Angelina's talking too much, right? And I would love to be able to go back to school now and go, do you know that I'm a professional broadcaster? Like, I earn my living from this.
From
But
this.
because at the time, because at the time it was untrained and untapped, I
Yes.
was just talking. I was just talking. And really, what all I needed someone to do was teach me that it was a talent, as well as the people who could run and the people who could jump and the people who could play,
That is so
instruments.
good.
Let me know that my mouth it was a talent as well. Just being
Yeah.
able to articulate and speak into somebody is a talent as well. And then they could have, and if it hadn't been for my mother, who was like, yes, she does talk a lot, but let's at least listen to what she's saying. And then she'd be like, you can't say that, you can do that.
Yeah.
And started to grow it. I think, that was the thing, was use, and then understand what your gifting is. Try to learn, get other tools along the way, because you don't have to just stay with that one thing.
No.
But then when it comes to your purpose, how can you use it for good?
Oh, I think that's good.
Necessarily. And I think a lot of times people go, well, what's my gifting? I need to use that to make money. That's if I had wanted to do that, I would never have been in my job for 30 something years. That was never it. It was, how can I walk alongside people who can mentor me to the next stage in my life? So when I finally get to use my voice, I can use it effectively, but it still has to be able to serve others.
I love that. That's it. Because I think that's so we always talk about purpose, finding your purpose in the Bible. We talk about praying for your purpose. God
Yes.
will reveal your purpose to you. But it's
Yes.
not for you, like you said, it's to serve others. We have to I
Yes.
love the answer, serving others. Because like you said, sometimes your purpose isn't gonna make you a multimillionaire. It's not gonna be profitable in all aspects. But I firmly believe he always takes care of you. Always. It doesn't matter. If you're following his will, he will supply the need. But
Absolutely.
I love the fact that you said the service to others. Because I feel like
Well,
our
when I
purpose
was reading,
does to
when I
others.
was reading one of the awards, the oldest person to get an award from the Queen, and I wrote it down. Her name is Rosemary Powell. She is 103 years old, and for 97 years she sold poppies, and those were to commemorate people who were lost in the war. And then all the money comes together and it goes to charity. But I thought, 97 years, and only to be recognized when you're 103. That is,
That's a long time.
I'm sure she could have done a million other things, and I'm sure she did as well. But her dedication to being obedient to that position and being successful in it, she never gave it up. And she could have.
Oh,
103.
103? Oh, I would have been chilling at some point.
103.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wow.
But that's really, that talks about purpose, because I feel like so once you find your purpose, you have to learn how to thrive in it. Because I think everybody automatically thinks that because you found your purpose, that it just comes innately in your gifting. Like it just you walk. I have it. I know what I'm supposed to do. It's not true.
No.
Sometimes you have to learn how to thrive in your purpose.
Completely. And I would probably say the first step to learning how to thrive is you have to declutter.
Ooh.
You have to declutter. And when you declutter, that for me, there's 4 words that just years ago, they popped up into my spirit and I've just not been able to get away from them. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. It takes, I'm not going to say it takes a long time, but you don't realize that as you're walking through your life, you are slowly decluttering those areas. And I think when you get to the level where it's truly decluttered, you can then start you feel like you're hearing a voice that, for me, that might sound like yours, but it's almost like prompting you. And it's for me, it was like, stand still and see what's actually beautiful around you. Just what is beautiful around you. And the only way that I could do it, I got my little prop. I got the 6-minute diary, because you know how we all say we don't have any time at all in the day.
Yes.
And I was like, one of my friends were talking about it, because she's in one of my, tribes. And we were like, we're going to get the 6-minute diary. And then it's only 3 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes in the evening. But what it started to do was it started to put time and space to think into my schedule. And the more I started finding out about the things that I love, so it prompts you, it asks you, what are you grateful for? What good deed did you do today? What were the 3 most amazing things that happened to you today? And you start off with going, I love this. And you think really big.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get to the stage where you're like, I woke up this morning and the sun was shining and the birds were singing. And when you get to that, as I'm smiling already, when you get to that stage, we're like, that is just the most beautiful thing, to be able to finally enjoy God's creation. Feel like you're walking in the garden. You hear the birds and you can see the sky, and you're like, oh, why? How did I miss this? Every day I've been getting up, going out, getting in the car. How did I miss this?
Yeah, that's true. And so when you talked about, so now you opened up a whole thing that I didn't even have planned or even talk about, but you talked about gratefulness, because I think in your purpose, you have to learn how to be grateful, and you have to be content. You have to learn contentment. And I think in order to walk and thrive, you have to learn how to be content, because I feel like when you're in your purpose, you look at other people, you start looking at, oh, this other person's doing this. Well, maybe I should be doing that. But you're not, you have to be laser focused and be content in the thing that God gave you. Because it might look good over there because somebody else is doing it, but that doesn't mean that's for you. So I think that's, and being grateful.
Exactly.
Being grateful for
being completely grateful.
That is so true.
Yes, completely so grateful.
So one thing about oh, go ahead.
No, and it's so true, because I think I stumbled through. I think a lot of times with things like this, people are like, oh my gosh, they got there so quickly. And they don't realize that the journey is long, but the journey was enjoyable. It was very enjoyable, but I didn't know I was actually walking it. I just felt like I was, I would see this and I'd be like, oh, that interests me. And I'd be like, oh, I see this. Oh, that interests me. But it wasn't until, like a puzzle, you go, oh, actually, now the big idea comes. And guess what? I've got this. And I've got this, and I've got this, and then you're like, I've got everything that I need. And a lot of times it doesn't cost money. It's not about money. It's about people. It's about resources. It's about skills that you learn. And I didn't know, but I'm so grateful that, I mean, like when I met you, that was a chance meeting. Where we ended up speaking to everyone out there. We spoke at the American women working around the globe, working around the globe.
It was just American workers.
Americans working around the globe. Sorry, excuse me. And that was a chance meeting where both of us were like, you know what? Let's do it.
But we realized we had something in common that and I think that's
my gosh.
thing, because we talked on how I was more British than you were, because I lived in the country in my formative years as an
Yeah.
American child, and you had lived somewhere else,
Yes.
but you sound more British than I do.
And it was funny because as part of our conversation, we were like, which one of us is more British? And they were like, you. And I was like, absolutely not. Up until age 12, I lived in Germany and Europe, but my voice
Sounds,
you know, we're hidden in cultures.
yes.
So again, that's like one of my secret powers is that people don't realize that, especially transitioning, that because I'm learning how to be British and always have been, because it wasn't there in my formative years. And what was there in your formative years plays so much into who you are later on in life.
It really does. It so does. And so that's why so let's talk about purpose. I was on something that God has purposed you to do, the Global Day of Prayer. Yes, it was amazing. Let's talk about it, because I was like, to see your sister, your kingdom sister, grow into a space where I don't think she even thought she was going to be in was amazing. It was beautiful. It was wonderful to be a part of that, because I think one thing we have to do as women is when you see your sister going into her purpose, you have to be a part of it. You have to say, if she says, hey, I need you, you go. You do whatever it is to support them. And some people think support is monetary. It's not always monetary. If you have like an online, it's nice to order from your friend, but sometimes your friend just needs you to share it or be a part of it if she asks you to speak, or just be there. We're there.
Absolutely.
Hey, what do you need? Because I think the service of each other helps the other person fulfill their purpose. And while you're helping somebody else fulfill their purpose, you might even be fulfilling yours.
Absolutely. And I mean, and we had so many people who were on the screen who provided insight and guidance and were obedient and had prayed on it. But there was one person who was behind the scenes who was running the entire production. First time ever, was moving guests in and out of rooms, was speaking life and purpose into them and getting them picked up and getting them ready to be on screen with us and keeping them informed of the topics that we talked about and what we were going to cover. And that was Tina Barnes. And she is an amazing person to walk alongside during this journey. And what is so beautiful about it is my question to her is, what do you need me to do to get to your purpose? And then hers back to me is, what do you need me to do to get to your purpose? So we've never ever thought to ourselves, our purpose is the same and it's the same journey. We may be on paths like this and we're like, okay, girl, I need you. And then we go, listen, girl, I need you. You know? And
that is exactly how it works. So let's talk about what is the Global Day of Prayer. So when you have your next one, our listeners can say, because I want to be a part of that. I want to listen to that. What is that?
So the Global Day of Prayer was an opportunity for people to come on and share how they worship and how they love God. And that is it. However that manifests itself. So whether it be a song, whether you wrote a poem, whether you just want to talk about what your journey looked like, or whether you just wanted to have conversation like this as well, it did not matter, because every single person is unique. We all have our own fingerprints. We all have, none of us are the same. And the way we express everything is different. So I wanted everyone just to have an opportunity to kind of celebrate with me, and just kind of walk along that path. Now, why I did it was something hit my spirit and said, you're gonna do it. And I'm going to give you the tools to do it. And I was like, I will not be disobedient. I was scared. I think I cried about it. I got all my mentors together. I had my different tribes and everyone was like, we're going to do this. Like there is nothing better, because it was the first time we'd ever gone live. And so, everyone was saying,
people don't understand how scary this is.
Yes, this, because absolutely. But it's like, what is the best thing to go live about other than God? And I was like, of course. And that once that was been said, I was like, let's do this. Let's do this. And what I didn't want to do was talk about what's outside. So I know in the world what's going on, and we're not taking away from that at all. But what I said to my friends was that we now mention and are spreading that word around the world quicker than we are spreading the word of God. We say it. We say that word and the title of it. We say it so many times a day. It's on the news. It's filtered itself into every spectrum of the world. And it's like, what if we did the same thing with God's praise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Because, I mean, it's things where we're in it and we all know what it is. And it has consumed so many. And so I think for us, we've even tried to just focus on how to spiritually grow yourself in this time rather than focus on all the other stuff. Because I think all the other stuff, we all know it's happening. It's not a surprise. But what we want is to help women to thrive and to grow and to learn. So when we come out of this thing, they go, I have all these tools in my toolbox. It's time for me to go do whatever my purpose is.
Absolutely. And all these people around the world, like we now have an opportunity to, we can do our own research. You can make that time and space. So now when we'd all say, I get up in the morning and I don't have time to go to the Bible app and read, the Bible in 1 year. Well, guess what? Yeah, you do.
I mean, it's true. I read the book of Esther.
Oh my gosh, yes!
It was like page turning. I wanted to know what happened, and I read it before, so it's not like, oh my gosh, but it came to life in such a new way, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was
Esther,
amazing.
Oh my! I'm so glad.
I encourage all ladies to read Esther. Read Esther.
I love the book of Esther because what I loved about her was her obedience to when she was called to do something. And even though she knew what she had to do to save her people, even though she had an audience with the person who could change it, she didn't immediately go, and
we all have a tendency to do that. Look, I'm guilty. I am, and that's me. I had to learn how to rein it in, like to go, okay, God, this is what you want me to do. This is what you've given me, but I need to pray about it. I need to say go, because at first I was like out the gate.
I'm running.
I was running, but God told me, and gradually, when those times when I did it and it didn't work out the way it was supposed to, because I did to His voice and to slow down, pray about this. Slow down. And we even talked about it yesterday on the Bible study. Is the discernment, because there's a discernment that we have to have, because some things are good things, but they're not always a God thing. And so we have to use our discernment to say, is this what we're supposed to be doing in my purpose? It's not. And so it makes you slow down and go, okay.
Absolutely. And sometimes, like you said, you get almost like a tasking, we'll say, or an assignment. But it's not for right now. And it's not for right now. It's for later. And it's like, but you don't think that. A lot of times you're like, it's for right now. Got to do it. And then you're like, actually, now I'm learning, which is the next step. Slow down. Slow down. Do things in my timing. Wait to hear my words. Wait to hear the other people that I'm talking to who are going to naturally just come to you from nowhere, and you'll be like, I was just talking about that,
That's so true.
Who
and
would know
that you talk about that? So I got Bountiful Grace in 2018. I was in England, and I that's when it came to me, but it was for this time. It was definitely for this season.
Wow.
It was totally for this season. So when I stopped, because we were trying to do like a little Bible study in the house, and it didn't quite manifest because I wasn't supposed to do it at that time. And God allowed me to put it behind me. And then now we've been able to move forward and do different things. And different things are coming for the But it's so true, women, is when you're in your business, in your home, God will give you something. He will give you a word, and you just have to ask him, is this for now? Or do I need to hold this and collect the tools I need to go forward? Because
Right.
I was definitely, I called it the ready rabbit. I was gone.
Well, in the end, what I had to do is I literally have, I tell you, look, girl, look, I have,
Oh my goodness. We just want to talk about
books.
I have
today.
notebooks for notebooks.
And then in the end, I was like, Angelina, this is what you need to do, girl. You need to write it down. Okay? Write it down first.
Yes,
Then go back and look on it. Pray on it. And every single person has their own way that they're going to be able to focus and do stuff. And God will talk to them about what that looks like. And sometimes he's like, I need you to go do it now. Okay.
There are some things where it's like, okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
Exactly. And sometimes he's like,
yeah,
I just need you to sit still. And just kind of knowing what that looks like for each person is beautiful for me to see it happen, because other people sat back and watched it happen for me. Like you.
I did. I watched. And so in that, if you were, so I wanted to ask, why would someone get a life coach? I've heard of life coaches. Why would I, as a person? And I loved how you put with the spiritual foundation. You know, I didn't miss that part.
100%. So for me, your mind goes at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And a lot of times when you have conversation with friends and family, they come from a different angle because they love you. I mean, they just love you. So they want the best for you. So if you're like, I want to go and do, climb to the mountaintop and sing God's name, they're like, have you got insurance? If they start, and they don't mean to talk you out of it. But what they're really doing is it starts to chip away, and then you start to go, well, did I hear that right? You're right. Oh, he didn't mention anything about insurance. Should I? You start thinking to yourself, is that right or is that wrong? So depending on the life coach, for me, I've always tried to get a life coach with a spiritual foundation, so that in anything that I say, he always, and it's Jim, so he would Jim on the globe that your friend, he was amazing. Yeah. But one of the things that he did was he's like, let's look in the Bible first. Let's see where if it appears somewhere in there, and usually it's of course it's right there. It's right there. But he gives you time to declutter. So basically, most of us are walking around with that bag that as we've grown up, we've stuck loads of things in. We stuck loads of people's opinions. We've stuck in their attitudes. We stuck in the things, the expectations that they have on our life. We put all of that in the bag. But still in our mind, we still want to do what we want to do. But before we can do any of that and thrive in it, we've got to take that stuff out. So even if it takes a year or 4 months, a month, a week, that stuff has to go first. Because how can you present yourself to someone and walk alongside them when you're still decluttering all of yours? And I'm not saying mine is completely empty and I'm like, my bag's empty, I'm good.
I think it's a continual process.
It's a continual process. Exactly.
I think when you start getting in your purpose too, you find new things that go into the bag that you're like, okay, even like we were talking about, like I started the podcast, we're alive, but now there's different hurdles that I'm trying to figure out, because I'm a techy person. Even I was like, I can do that. How do I do that? Or even just some of the things of business come in, and I'm like, okay, this is a new hurdle, and it gets me discouraged because now I have this checklist of things that I have to do in order to get where I want to go. And so I feel like it's always a continual thing. It's always and for me, I don't have a life coach. I have a great sisterhood of friends. Great sisterhood of friends I can talk to. Yeah. So I'd be like, can you help me? Can we talk about this? Or
Absolutely.
God, say, God, I need to figure out how to do this. Give me the strength. Give me the not. I don't ask for patience. Give me the knowledge and the mindset to do it. Because sometimes it's the mindset we have about what we're doing.
100%. And with them, because they've probably seen and experienced a lot of things. And like I said, because I love the fact that he looks at the spiritual foundation of it. And then he will say questions like, are you sure that was God or was that you? And then you say to yourself, you're like, actually,
now that
I think that was me. I think that was me. And then you clear it. You like, actually, let me just go ahead and know, understanding that is for me and doing it that way makes a difference, because then you can still be ready for what your purpose is, even for that week, we'll say.
Yes, because I think for me, I take it week by week. I
definitely
I journal each week, like what is it that I want to accomplish, what things I do, what am I reading, like those are the things that are. And so I want people who are listening to us to understand that it's not, when you see successful people, they're not successful because it just happened. They have habits. They have successful habits, and they have successful foundations, especially spiritual foundations that they
I love that.
every day to make them to get to where they are. It's an everyday thing, and it's an everyday renewing your mind. It's an everyday getting the word. It's an everyday thing, because I can tell when I don't do it. I don't know about anybody else, but I know when the day that I decide I'm sleeping in late. I'm not
when I get up in the morning and I don't, there's 3 or 4 things, and routine. Routine is essential. Because for me, I absolutely have to do my Bible in 1 year. I like to do a different plan in addition to that, so there's continual growth. But then I also like to share. So I'll get on other social media platforms and I'll just put something out there. And for me, I love the feedback that I get. And it's not, I could have no whatsoever on any of them. But if someone sends me a personal message and says, thank you for that this morning, I'm like that. It was worth it. It was worth it. And at this time, we don't have the opportunity to talk to individuals directly, then that's the only way that we can reach out and talk to our tribe. So, I'm glad for it.
Me too. I'm glad we have the technology to be able to still be social distance, but together. And it's been a beautiful thing, especially live. I was afraid to. I was a little like, oh, wow, this is putting me way out there. But when we do the Bible study, it's so rewarding to see how many people have viewed it or how many people are actually doing the study with you. And I think we get people in the comments or in our private message saying, I really need that today. Thank you for being on. And I think it's about being consistent. So we're trying to be consistent in the consistency. They think it's just for them, but it really is for us, because you're holding me accountable. In the exchange. So in the exchange, I'm the one going behind the scenes going, oh, this is a part of my, now it's a part of my day. I don't even think about it. This is a part of my day. This is what I'm doing for the group, our Bible study group, because I know it's not just about me. And I think when you can get outside of yourself and how things impact you, it helps you in your purpose. Because it humbles you. It really does. It just really humbles you in a way that I'm grateful for in this season. So we're talking about that, and I know you motivational speak, but now you're a broadcaster. I was like a woman of many hats. She is a broadcaster.
Oh, wow.
On Zack 105.3 FM.
Yes.
Where I live. I used to pass by it every day, and never did I think Angelina is going to be on there. And now that I'm not there, I can't listen, but I would love to. And the show is called Mind, Body, and Soul. But I'm going to let you talk about it and why. How did you
go crazy?
Why did you go there? And I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sorry. Continue. I just
So
got
I said, for me, I think it's amazing because you're impacting people. Because I think as Christians, we think we're supposed to impact Christians. But I don't think that. I think that's the missing key. We're supposed to be impacting everybody. There shouldn't be a label on who we're impacting and how we're impacting them.
right. So this was not even okay. I have no urge to be a radio DJ. And I told them that. I was like, I'm going to consider myself to be a broadcaster. That's what I'm going to call myself. And they were like, okay. And I sent something. I woke up one morning and I was like, send this radio station an email. That's what was in my spirit. And I was like, okay. So I sent them an email and they responded. And I just wanted to learn production and just kind of work out what it was like in the studio. And after 45 minutes of talking, he was like, I'm going to give you your own radio show. And I was like, what? And he's like, I'm going to teach you while you're on the radio. And I was like, that's incredible. But what has been so beautiful is that I got 4 days. So I've been able to concentrate on Monday. I do spiritual to lead the week. And then each of the other days, I pick something else. So physical, mental, emotional. But I know that a lot of people who are listening may not even go to church, aren't even thinking about it. So being able to slip in some things, I've got a gospel gap, which isn't necessarily all gospel music, but it's got the words faith in it. It's got the words God in it. And it might be a dance song. But I just want them to start hearing it. And I've been able to just thinking about kindness and gratitude, introduce words from the Bible.
The principles. I think it's the principles. Because I feel like you can be a Christian and still not know the principles.
Exactly. And then people start listening. And then, like you said, it becomes a routine. So now on Monday, they know and they're tuning in. Like some people only tune in on Mondays because they're like, today she's going to talk about spiritual. I'm down with that. So do you know what I mean? But that was definitely a leap of faith. And again, it went all the way back to when I was a child and they said my talent wasn't my mouth. Beg to differ.
But as we're talking, I realized that you life coach, but you life coach on the radio.
See, I didn't when I got my life coaching, I assumed that the first thing I was going to do was open the business and go that way. And I got everything set 2-3 years ago, or everything was set, bought the business name, did everything I needed to do. And it was never the right time. And even when I spoke to Jim, he was like, yeah, no. And I was like, and he's like, you should go, do it. You have all the tools you need. And I was like, I don't feel like that's the right time and the right purpose. But the radio does.
The radio does.
The radio does.
I don't know your results, but I'm sure you're impacting hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people who are just listening to you in a way that they may not get. So I think I was like, that is so awesome. I was like,
thank you.
Thank you. But I think you have to understand there are people who are cheerleading you on, even though you don't think so. Because I think the misconception of social media is that if someone doesn't like it or comment, that they don't see you. But that's not true.
Right.
And I mean, I try to make the effort to comment and like, just so you can see that I did. And sometimes, but I'm a bad social media person, and I just don't feel like, there's days where you're like, I'm on here, but I'm lurking. I don't feel like doing it. But you know that people are really genuinely oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I look out for your stuff every day. I'm like, wow. I've almost got it timed down. I'm like, any minute now, she's going to say something. She's going to share it on this platform. And I mean, but it's become part of my routine that you do what you do. And I've even, to the point that I said, yesterday was a weird day for me. But it turned out to be a magical day because literally everyone that I'm emotionally connected to appeared either online, phone call, out of nowhere. Every single person appeared and they filled my cup all the way back up again. I was like, thank you, because I needed that. But I said to myself, time to declutter my phone, because I think I was actually mourning the things that I'd planned to happen in the next month or two. And then I had to cancel it, but it felt like if I canceled it, I was canceling the person. And I mourned that. And I don't know why I was, but I'm not now. But I had to declutter it. And one of the things that I was like, okay, what are the things that I have to do now? I have to be on Bountiful Grace, and I need to be I need it in my calendar. And it was a case of establishing, and I'm not going to call it the new normal, but now it's my everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Because I think we can talk about that in your purpose, because I think a lot of people think, well, now this is happening. How do I pivot in the new space that we're in? And so I think that is true. You have to kind of mourn it. You have to mourn the fact that there's things that are not going to happen. And I was, there's people I was supposed to see. There was a job I was supposed to do. There was things that were supposed to happen, and you have to take the time to acknowledge it.
Yes.
So you have to acknowledge it. You can't just act like it didn't happen, because I think that you carry it with you. But you have to acknowledge it. Take the time and say, yeah, this makes me kind of sad. I'm sad the fact that, and it doesn't take away, or it doesn't. Now, I'm not posting about it, because I'm just not a poster like that. But I'm not going to take away from what the plight of the people who are really suffering in this time.
Right. That is true.
But you still have to go, this makes me sad. I'm sad that I'm not going to see this person. I'm sad that I can't do my job and I've been laid off. I'm sad that my finances don't look the way that they were going to because I planned it this way, or whatever it is. I think that it's okay. I think people need that. It's okay. Don't look at social media. Don't listen to them. It is okay to mourn the things that you had going on before everything happened.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to mourn what it's going to look like once things are opening up. And I don't know about you. The United States is opening up rather early.
Good luck.
No, girl, I'm still in team isolation. I'll let y'all go out there and see what happens.
Oh gosh, great.
I'm serious. I'm still in team isolation. I'm still doing it, and I think it's for me. I'm doing what God told me to do, because He told me stay put. And so He tells me something different, I will go out. And I think that's what we do.
Yeah, but what's so beautiful about what you said is now as you look online and you see all those opportunities available, there's two things that it makes you do. So for example, if I had been feeling some kind of way before, I probably would have gone to my friends and talked about it, and I would have got there eventually, but it would have taken longer. But because I didn't have that, the only thing that I could do was reach for my Bible and get into this for the answers. I found now I have a new process where I get here way faster than I did before.
That is good. That is so good, because you do. In this time, we do. I get there way faster. Way faster.
And because you get there faster, you then want more of it. So like when you do your Bible studies and things like that, and you encourage women, you want more of that. Whereas before you'd be like, oh, I really want it. I know it's going to be amazing, but I don't have time. I'll watch the replay. Now it's like, no, I want to be part of the live. Like I want to be in that atmosphere and that foundation. I want all of it. It's great to go back and read over it and take notes, but I want to be there in the moment as well.
In the moment, yes.
So we're very grateful to you for doing it. No, really, really. Because that doesn't always get said, but know that even on the other side of the ocean, we are like this going, okay, they're going to go live. Okay.
We appreciate it. And it's honestly the growth. Like you said, it's just watching the growth. Because even between like me and Abby's relationship, we thought we were just together to go shopping and hang out.
Wow.
And it took us a while to be like, no, God had a purpose for this relationship. There's a purpose here. There's not, and it's not that shopping and going out with friends is a purpose. It's fun.
Of course.
We still do those things. We'll continue to do those things, because that's something that we do.
There's to be balance. There's going to be balance.
There's a greater purpose that we are joined together for, and it's for kingdomship. There's something in the kingdom that God wants us to accomplish together.
And
I
it
think
feels
that's
good. Doesn't it feel good?
it really does.
It feels so
I'm
good.
honored, and it has been a whirlwind, like almost like it's been like, this is happening. This is real. I have to, even in this season, my husband's
Yes,
like, "Oh, you're dressed up. Where are you going?" I was like, "Oh, I have a live." I'm walking across the house to my office to do a live.
it
And
does.
it is an amazing thing to just be in God's word in this season. I don't know about anybody else. So for everyone who's on the call or who's listening and on the podcast, in our Facebook group, you can come and join the Hebrews Bible study that's going on right now. And you
Yes.
can actually even on Sundays we watch church together. We do a watch party, and we do Transformation Church. We've done TJ's, and we're open to suggestions. I'm all about opening it up. We do Lighthouse Bible Study. I watch that
Yes.
at home.
Yeah.
It's home because that's where I grew up spiritually, and I think it always will be where I spiritually said yes and decided to mature and
They
get
are
off.
great for that. Lighthouse is amazing for
Yeah.
pulling out that gifting in you that you didn't even realize was there. If you just listen, sit still and stay tuned for it, it will come out. Like you won't be able, it will come out of you. You will not be able to stop it. And then when it does, you are just on fire for the teaching and for the fellowship and the mentorship and just that foundation. You're so right.
It's life changing. So
Yeah.
I think so that's why we post all types of things in the group. So if you're on this Bountiful Ways podcast and you're subscribing on Apple, find us on Facebook so you can be a part of us. And then so what's going to happen, Angelina? We go into our Bountiful Business Collective, and so we're going to put your page there, anything
Thank
that you're doing
you.
there, so that people who are finding us will find you. Because
Thank
I feel like
you.
we're united, and even though I don't know, I don't think we do the same thing, but whatever, even if we did the same thing, I feel like we're in a time where we have to be united.
Mm,
What's for me is for me, what's for you is for you. So we want our businesses
absolutely.
who are on our podcast, who are on our page, we want our businesses to just unify, because I feel
Right.
like when we unify, we're stronger together. The kingdom's stronger for it. So you'll be in there. I'll
Absolutely.
have all the details of how to get to her as a life coach and how to get to the Global Day of Prayer, because I'm ready for the next one.
And if anyone wants to participate, please do. This is just us, a group of individuals who love the Lord, like to celebrate and worship and praise him in whatever shape or form and the unique way that you bring that. So if you ever want to be involved and you hear us talking about it, please jump on the train. Please do.
So they can either message me, because I will refer them to you, or you can go to her page, which is Walking in Your Purpose, Your Way, Living Your Way.
Living your life your way.
Living your life. I was like, I'm missing a word. Living your life your way. I was like, I'm missing a word somewhere in there.
Thank
We'll put the
you.
link on our page, and that way, if you want to join the Global Day of Prayer, you can. And we're just so grateful. We're grateful that God sent you. We're so happy to have you, Angelina. I was super excited. Yay,
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm blessed to know you. I don't know if you know how much, but I am blessed to know you. I wish you knew how much. One day you will.
Oh, one day. Right now, I'm living in the moment of God, and I'm ready to do whatever He says for us to do in this season. So, all right, everyone, our time is up, but we have not forgotten. Episode 3 will air next Thursday, and we will be here with me and Abby. We're going to be on next week.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes. So we look forward to it, and we will see you soon. Bye.